Hello and welcome to a book review. This is my first book review, so yeah, we're starting off strong, I guess. Today we're going to be talking about Crime and Punishment, which is this bad boy right here, written by Dostojevskij, Fjodor Dostojevskij, who is a Russian writer, a former engineer turned into an author. And yeah, Fyodor Dostoevsky. Let's talk about Crime and Punishment and probably why you should read it. Because, well, spoiler, I'm not going to make any spoiler alerts, but spoiler for the video is it's a hell of a book. Yeah, so stay tuned. So as you know, the book is made by Fyodor Dostoevsky, and as I said, he is a former engineer who lived a lavish life, and for some reason he decided to be an author. He is a 1 out of 7 siblings. His mother died as he was 15 years old. Dostoevsky is well, if you haven't heard about him already, I can tell you that he's a greatly known and respected author, and he's in the league of the classics. He is one of the big fish when it comes to authors. He doesn't get better. He doesn't get bigger than that, motherfucker. Don't get bigger than that. So yeah, he's he's a well-established and a respected author. Crime and Punishment is is considered one of his masterpieces, along with The Idiot, which he wrote as well, and the brothers, what's it called? The brothers Karamazov. Yeah, and he has some others as well. I think there's another title in there I can't remember. But yeah, his works of art have influenced the emergence of existentialism. So that is probably that is no small feat, and it has also inspired the emergence of Freudianism. The book was published in Russia in 1866. And in Denmark, where I currently live, in 1884. The genre is literary fiction. Yeah, but it's about crime, basically. So if you're into the whole crime genre, I know it's pretty trendy right now on Netflix. So if you're into that kind of stuff, then I recommend picking up this book. I actually got this book from my mother, and so did my siblings last Christmas, as a Christmas present. And I was so what is it called? Impressed by this book that I actually went down to the bookstore and immediately bought his other books, or that are known as masterpieces, by some would say, I guess. I don't know, I haven't finished them, so I can't tell you. But they are renowned, they are known as masterpieces of his. And I bought The Idiot, which I might make a review of afterwards when I'm done. I'm reading it right now, but when I'm done reading it, I might make a review about that. And also the brothers Karamazov. You should probably read them in that order: Crime and Punishment, Idiot, Brothers Karamazov, difficulty-wise, because this one is probably the easiest to read. It's about 700 pages, but it's the easiest to read, followed by The Idiot, and the hardest one is probably Brothers Karamazov. I picked it up, as I said, last winter as a Christmas present. So it's a really good winter read. Fate will have it so that I started reading The Idiot this month, which is the beginning of winter. So I don't know, I guess I'm just reading Dostojevskij in the winter months. It must be a winter thing. Maybe it's because he's Russian, I don't know. Anyway, the main protagonist of this book is Rodion Romanovich Raskolnikov, or Rodya, or Rodka, as he's also called. That's one of the hard things about this, about reading these books. I can just tell you right off the bat, is that the characters have their first name, their middle name, and their surname. And also they have the shortenings of their name, as I don't know how to compare it in Spanish. My name is Thomas, for example, but in Spanish you could say Tomas or Tomasito. It's the same thing, but the Tomasito is little Thomas, So, but it's still the same name, but you can say it in different ways. Same with the Russian language. You can say his formal name is Rodion, but he's also called Rodya or Rodka by his mother or whoever is close to him. So it's a main protagonist, Raskolnikov, a young ex-law student living in poverty in St. Petersburg. He lives in a tiny room which he rents, and he's behind rent. He's a really lacking funds, so he's been avoiding payment for quite a while. He also eats rarely. He's described as a handsome and intelligent, though fellow. He's a handsome and intelligent fellow, but he is also disliked by his students. He is devoted to his sister, Avdotya Romanovna Raskolnikova, and his mother, Pulcheria Alexandrovna Raskolnikova. The main character is somewhat relatable to me, for me, not in all aspects, but in his relationship with his mom and his sister, which kind of opened me up to being able to put myself in his place when reading this book, and be open to the thought process that he goes through in the book. Not that I have done anything, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I haven't, exactly done the same things that he's doing in the book. But as you may know, it's called Crime and Punishment. So I think we could all relate to this protagonist somehow, because we've all probably done something that we're not allowed to do in the end. I mean, morally or ethically, or just by law. I mean, so in that way, it applies to us all. What I love about Dostoevsky's writing style, though, is that he's so precise, and manages to catch fickle thoughts that go through our heads, and he just writes them down on paper. So you go like, oh yeah, I've had those exact same thoughts, or oh yeah, I've recently gone through something similar to what is described in the book. It's so relatable, it's crazy. In a weird way, his descriptions can sometimes remind you of who you are, in a sense. And this is as much a description about our psyche as it is about a thriller or a crime, which you can also put this book into the genre of thriller and crime. Raskolnikov does somewhat have a conflicted idea of himself. He wants to prove that he's exceptional in the way that Napoleon was, but must come to terms with reality, just like us. It's just like us. We have our role models and people we look up to and want to be like. And we probably wish that we could take a shortcut and be like them immediately, or just like the ideals that we conjure in our minds. But as life will seem, there are no shortcuts, and we have our own challenges to conquer and our own path to follow. And, we are human in the end, and we need to deal with the emotions that come along with it. My favorite character, though, in this book is Petrovich, who is he's a guy who works in the police force, and he's the main investigator. I mean, this guy, this guy, wow. I mean, whew, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you guys, but dude, Petrovich, he's a fucking gangster. Sorry for swearing, but dude, Petrovich, man, damn, he's a mofo, okay? I mean, he's probably my favorite character. His first name is Porfiry Petrovich, and he's basically the antagonist of the story. If Raskolnikov is the protagonist, he's the main antagonist. But he is regarded by most people as the true hero of the story. The whole book sets him up perfectly and beautifully. His dialogue with Raskolnikov is on another level, dude. I mean, I was at the edge of my seat the whole time. And this book has the best interrogation scene that I've ever experienced in my life, hands down. And so many times I just had to put the book down, man, and I just had to soak everything up and just be like, what? What just happened? What did that just, what's going on right now? And I'm serious, dude. I'm mind blown, man. Mind blown. The dialogue is so great. So yeah, favorite character, and basically, but all throughout the book, the interpersonal relations are described really well, and the dialogues have a really nice flow to them. So the book plays out in St. Petersburg in Russia, where the crowd, the streets, and atmosphere is described in a way that immerses you into it. You see it all through the eyes of Raskolnikov. The way the setting of the book is set up reflects the mind state of the protagonist beautifully. For example, when he's sad, he notices certain things around him. And when he's happy or inspired, he notices other things in his surrounding. And that's just like us. That's exactly how we do. That's how we act when we're swept by emotion. I mean, on a good day, you might notice the butterflies or the birds, the sun is shining. When you're sad on other days, you might just be looking at a puddle of mud with the rain dripping down on it and be like, damn, just looking at that and noticing that thing, not even, seeing this sun behind the clouds, or the bird that's sitting at its nest, tending of their young, so yeah, that Dostojevskij does that really well in his book. He really portrays this human psyche crystally clear. Yeah. I won't, me, myself, I'm a very emotional guy, so this resonated in me a lot. Just to close it up, and basically I could relate. Raskolnikov has an internal conflict in him. I won't go into details about this either. But it's very much about good and evil. And it's interesting to see how, for example, his relationship with his mother and sister and a girl named Sonia are sort of the connection to the good part of him, the people in his life that are steering him in a good direction. But as fate would have it, the evil sort of starts eating away at that and challenging that. And that might look like him trying to make decisions for his sister, or trying to overrule his sister or control her, and the decisions she has to make. Whereas it's not really his place or his authority to do so to begin with. So if evil or good will win within the protagonist, I'll let you be the judge of that. So yeah, what I think that sets this book apart from the other books in the same genre is its focus on the actual crime is lesser than the psychology of committing a crime. That's what this book does. It is all about the psychology of actually committing a crime. And its description of the mentality of a man or a woman who is about to, under the act of, and after committing the act of crime. The description of that is insane. If you have, I mean, if you have stolen a pack of gum at a store once, you're going to relate to some of these things that go on in this book. You're going to know. So yeah. These are themes that we have seen other places as well. For example, Bilbo Baggins in relationship in Lord of the Rings, Bilbo Baggins, and his relationship to the ring, as he's supposedly always beating around the bush when it comes to his attraction to the ring, being drawn to it. But in this book, he has that one moment where he goes like, "Ah!" and you see the raw, what is it called? What the ring actually does to him. You see that, but in this book, you actually get into the mind of the said person with the most precise descriptions of thoughts that might surround such an event, of a sick mind, really, and how it operates, how it justifies itself, feeds itself, and reinforces itself with behaviors such as isolation. His description, Dostojevskij's description of dreams, is also the best I've ever seen, and they're pretty scary at times as well. So, if you scare easily, it's not that bad. I think there's like 2 dream depictions in the book, but they're pretty scary. Not that. Don't be worried that you're going to lose sleep over it, but they're pretty, just read it. You're going to know. It's okay. You're going to be fine. Although the book is as old as it is, it's surprising how relevant it still is. And I couldn't help but think that we really don't think much different than we did like 100 years ago. Or maybe it's just Dostoevsky's writing. Maybe it's just him. That's just insane. The hardest thing about reading this book is probably, as I said, the names. It might get a little confusing with all the alterations of the names, and you're gonna have to stop for a second and be like, who are we talking about now? Who now? Where? But as soon as you get that under control, you're good to go. It's not that bad. So apart from that, the details in this book and how the storyline, the settings, and the happenings are woven together in this book is a wonder. Many times the author shows his background as an engineer with his sharp attention to detail, whether it's the human psyche or just plot elements. Also, many of his personal experiences are woven into the story, into the fabric of the story as well. For example, Dostojevskij was the writer of the book. Dostojevskij was actually sentenced to death at one point. And, and so he had the death penalty for being in a literary club that criticized the Tsar, the regime at that point. So he was sentenced to death, and at the last moment, dude, he was released. But it was basically him you know, going up to the, I don't know how they executed people back then, but just imagine, you know, you're going up, they're going to hang you, and then you're going up there, and at the last moment they're like, nope, you're free to go. He was sentenced to prison camp and labor camp for many years afterwards, but at least he didn't die, right? So yeah, I mean, this guy, he's been around. Dostoevsky, you know, he has lived in a real life, and you can see that he gives. You can see how his personal experiences are woven into the fabric of the story here as well. Most definitely, and also his other masterpieces. He always gives something of himself. Yeah. What else is there to say? He writes with such insight that I was convinced at some point that this isn't fiction. This is just an autobiography. He's just remembering what he did. How the hell can he write this well and it being fiction? It doesn't make any sense. I'm like, dude, this is not fiction. This is something you did, right? You did this shit, didn't you? Dostoevsky. You're not making it up. You actually went ahead and did these things, because how else could you describe it so well? Dude, there's no way. Anyway, he could have convinced me, and even though if it would be, it is fiction, but even though it would have been an autobiography of sorts, the writing itself would be on another level of awareness. I mean, what else is there to say? Women are mostly portrayed in a very positive light. They're very, loving and caring, and that's probably a theme that also goes on with Dostoevsky's work. You can just notice that, how he portrays women. That's really interesting as well. There's a lesson in this book to what happens when you don't cultivate your mind in the most careful of ways. Where it's in a world where it's far too easy to do the bad thing and far too hard to do the good thing. So yeah, in short, I couldn't help but turn the pages, and actually I lost sleep because of this book, because of the tension it builds up. You can't help but wanting to know what's behind the corner, what's behind the next corner. There's a lot of cliffhangers here. I mean, this could have been a Netflix adaptation, easy. But he just keeps you at the edge of your seat, wanting more. And I wish this book was twice as long. I mean, the characters that he writes about in this book, you feel people's presence all the time. I mean, 10 out of 10. That's my review. That's my first book review. I wanted it to be this book because it's also the first book that I've read in a while. I used to read a lot when I was a kid, but it wasn't before last Christmas that my mom gave me this book, and I picked it up and started reading it, that I actually got it ignited that flame in me that gave me the motivation to start reading books again. So I'm really stoked about it. 10 out of 10. Will recommend Dostoevsky. So yeah, that's my review for now. Take care, and thanks for watching. Peace out.